This episode of Q Point Podcast is pre-recorded, produced and sponsored by Karina Quirk, broker at Next Home Experience.
Different views.
I know your story.
From different cues.
Incredible job.
He's David Quirk.
You brought it up.
And she's Karina Quirk.
Imagine.
This is
Q Point.
Thank you for joining us for part 2 with Brewer Police Chief Christopher Martin and Brewer Mayor Michelle Daniels. Chief, let's pivot to safe injection sites. I know we discussed this the last time you were here. What are your thoughts on bringing safe injection sites to the Bangor area?
I think it would be a tragic mistake. I think that if we look at where they're happening anywhere else, they're failures. So let's look at Vancouver, particularly the East Hastings district. It's ruined. It's a land of despair. The businesses have left there in droves. It's nothing more than social service offerings and people passed out in the street. Human excrement is bad. And that's all this did. And when they looked at the problem, they found that even the people that came to the Insight location for safe injection, they still were using their drugs more often than not elsewhere. They weren't going to the safe injection for all. Now, the one thing safe injection is good at that they can claim is clean supplies. If the person's willing, they can talk to them about treatment options. Usually that doesn't happen. They can test for communicable diseases like HIV and stuff like that. But the one thing that they do have is people aren't dying inside that facility. They have the Narcan, they have the oxygen, and they have 911 to call for an ambulance. Now, there have been people that have died that have used inside a facility and then left, but nobody's ever died inside the facility. So they can claim that. The impacts on the neighboring areas is devastating, and that's what you don't want. This is a failed approach. Now, what's happened in Canada is they've doubled down. They started with the safe injections 20 years ago, and then they moved to full decriminalization in British Columbia in 2023, and the problem's worsened. So now what they've done is they said it can't be our strategies. It's got to be because it's fentanyl. It's a poison supply. So now the Canadian government starts administering pharmaceutical-grade opioids so that they don't have a poison drug supply. And do you think that the fentanyl demand has diminished? No, it hasn't. What's happening is these government-issued pills now are being diverted on the street for cash so that they can go buy fentanyl because it's the good stuff. So the more they double down, it's like, what's the definition of insanity? And they're compounding this. This is insanity squared. And suddenly we want to practice this in Maine, right? It's not going to work. It hasn't worked anywhere else, and it certainly won't work here. New York City, the one that they opened up, there was a preschool across the street. Kids used to go for walks. They're not going for walks outside that preschool anymore because there's people passed out all over the place. There's drug paraphernalia, needles all over the place. So how good is that working? Now, you're not going to see that on the mainstream news, are you? But you can find the stories about it. You can find the people that worked at the preschool, and they're willing to talk about it. It's all out there. So why do we want to push this? When they come back from their break, the legislature is supposed to take this bill up. Now, it didn't gain traction before, but each time it gets a little closer and a little closer. Your harm reduction proponents are going to say this is absolutely the way to save all the lives you need. Hopefully common sense will prevail, and we won't chase failed policies. I think the Trump administration, through this executive order that they did, I think they've signaled that they're going to start taking away the federal monies for these initiatives if they're not proven to work. And I think it also said something about not allowing for safe consumption facilities, which is AKA safe injection. So maybe that will put the bumpers in place that this doesn't even become a reality.
I was in Vancouver at the beginning. I actually have cousins that live in Vancouver. So I saw what they call Five Corners before, which wasn't a great place. And then I saw it shortly after, which my aunt criticized my cousin the entire visit for even bringing me into the section to see it. But he thought it was important that we drove through the last time I was there to see the difference. And it was a huge difference just within a few years. When we went through before, there were people on this section of Vancouver that were, you could tell they were in full addiction. There were people around, there were women on the corner selling themselves. There were all of these factors in there. Now it's just people laying on the street, trash everywhere. Like, it was bad, but it wasn't what it turned into. So I think it was maybe like a 5 or 6 year difference between the time I was there. It was just a huge difference in between what it looked like.
So I hear that there's a synthetic drug out there that maybe even Narcan won't be able to work on. Have you heard any of that?
Oh, yeah, we're seeing it in Maine. What we're looking at here is, number one, what's popped up recently in Maine is some other fentanyl analogs. So like carfentanil, which is more potent than fentanyl, probably 10, 20 times stronger than fentanyl. Typically used in the veterinaries for pain control or surgeries for elephants. So we're also dealing with xylazine, which is a horse tranquilizer. And again, the reason why this is adulterating your fentanyl supply is that maybe you don't have enough fentanyl and you want the user to feel drowsy and feel all the effects that they typically would when they get high. So you'll see a lot of chemical mixtures in there now. With the xylazine, Narcan's not going to work on that because that's not an opioid class of drug. It's affecting different receptors in the brain. But we're starting to see compounds that we don't even know what they are. They're coming from the same chemical companies out of China again. And it's going to be a brave new world. They've had an impact on drug supply chains across the United States by tamping down the southwest border. And you have to admit that our southwest border now is more controlled than it ever has been for the past long time. So now, how are the cartels going to get their dope into the market? They're going to start exploiting the northern border. They're going to go where there's less pressure, or they're going to have the underground tunnels from Mexico to the United States, or we're going to start seeing maybe more on international air traffic or parasitic devices on boats or things like that. They have to get more creative, and it won't be as easy to get their drugs into the market. As far as Canada goes, is that a realistic threat for us to have our drug supply coming from Canada at the hands of the cartel? Absolutely is. Because think about it, they have some huge markets, okay? They have the Vancouver market, huge market for them. They have the Toronto market. They have the Montreal market. They have huge markets in Canada. They're not going to lose those markets. They're just going to find ways to bypass the United States to get the drugs in there because it will be easier to get in Canada, and then to try to exploit the porous northern border. So you're playing whack-a-mole as you're chasing. The trends are going to change. But as we make it more difficult for them, and in particular, if the United States government is putting pressure on the Mexican government to treat these folks as terrorists, and there's military action being taken against them and all of this, well, maybe they won't be able to produce fentanyl to the level that they have. Maybe we're going to kind of squeeze it so the Chinese don't want to sell the chemicals to the Mexican cartels. Maybe they're going to go take down their labs. Maybe they're going to go back to our heroin market where we have to grow it from the opium poppy. Or the brave new world is going to be the synthetics. And I just read a drug briefing last week of 3 new synthetics that I've never heard of before that have been discovered in the market in Maine. And one is called a pink cocaine, and I forget what the chemical name for that was. It's not cocaine. It's synthetic animal tranquilizer. Never heard of it before. As you get good in one area and you tamp that down, then the market gets really creative and tries to still satisfy the need. So I think we are going to see a lot more synthetics. We have a drug scanning device called a TrueNarc. We had to update its library last week so that we can have all the new compounds that are being recognized. But that trend will continue into the future. And as fentanyl becomes harder to get into the marketplace, you're going to see more pollutants like xylazine in there that Narcan won't impact. What's the true play? Choke out the supply, be aggressive with your enforcement, and then work on reducing demand. Okay, and you're going to get that both through enforcement, education, and getting people into treatment. And circling back around to this new jail, we can give them a timeout to arrest the criminal activity, and we can connect them with services that'll give them a fighting chance to come back into society and feel good about themselves and be contributing members. We can accomplish that if we have the right facility and spacing and people. And that turning a blind eye to the problem, not enforcing it, is not going to be the answer. It's going to be a holistic approach. It's going to combine various things. And I think I'm hopeful for the future that we're going to be able to do just that.
If you're just tuning in, you are listening to Q Point Podcast. I'm Karina Quirk, co-hosting with my husband, David Quirk, and we are having a conversation with Brewer Police Chief Christopher Martin and Brewer Mayor Michelle Daniels. Chief Martin, Speaking of the northern border, it seems there has been an uptick with Border Patrol arrests. Can you tell us anything about that?
We get the briefings, and there is more activity coming across the border. The corridor that impacts Vermont and New Hampshire has been really, really busy, and I think part of that crosses an Indian reservation that goes on both sides into both countries. In Maine, we've seen an uptick. We've had Romanians that have been interdicted coming across. We've had people of Latino descent coming across, Asian, Chinese. We've had confirmed members of MS-13 and Ticonderoga, TDA, coming across, and they've been apprehended in different areas of Maine. So, yeah, the northern border is ticking along. But again, I think a lot of this is dictated because they're having success on the southwest border. So people are scrambling to get in where they can. And we'll see. I think that trend is going to continue for a while because obviously they don't have the resources, personnel resources, that they have on the southwest border.
Mayor Daniels, what are the top 3 things that the city of Brewer is focused on right now?
Right now, the council in November of this year, we've started a new practice where we're taking a council project every year. This council project is probably going to last for a few years, but the main goal is land use and seeing what we have for land use right now and how can it be improved. Code enforcement, what rules do we have that no longer need to be there, and how do we make it better for people to use our code enforcement? We are coming out in the next month with a whole new code enforcement database where anything you do is actually going to be all online. If you want to put in a fence, you can fill it all out online. AI will help you search what the ordinances are, and you'll be able to fill out your form and ask for an appointment if you need one right from that space, and you can pay for things there. So our new website for the city is coming out in general in September, where we get a whole new look. Our old website is not a great functioning website. When I have to use Google to search for things, it was a little hard, but we're getting a whole new website. The other thing is zoning. And we're really looking at the zoning and how we can improve it, what it's used for now, and what the potential is for the future. A few years ago, several of the council attended the National League of Cities in Washington, D.C., and we attended a conference, and they said, it's great to do things for your city for 10 years. It's great to do things for your city for 25 years. 100 years in the future, what have you set your city up for? And the 3 of us that attended that took it very seriously. And so when it came time, kind of bring the new people into it, the big thing for us was how do we improve what we have? And in 100 years, 25 years, what is our waterfront going to look like? What does our city look like? And how do we make it easier for the people who live here to do things? So those have been our goals, the 3, but we kind of expand on it to make sure that it's always making things easier.
It sounds like you want to remove some red tape to make it more business friendly.
Absolutely. How do we make it so when you need to build a building in Brewer, we give you absolutely everything you need in one shot?
Love it.
It sounds simple. It's not. Our codes also have to match up with the state and trying to make sure that we have everything in a row. I joke we have a new assistant city manager, and he was all set to come in and make sure that all these changes were going through. And within the first week, he was already bogged down in state regulations. So we're working through to make sure that ours match up. Not much you can do at the state level. We do have home rule, which is really important in a city. There are some things that have come through lately that kind of infringing on home rule a little bit. There's some code. I don't remember the LD, but it comes off LD 2003 that was passed 2 years ago on the housing. There's an expansion on that, and it kind of overrules what the city has for theirs. We'll see how that plays out, but LD 2003, basically, you can take a single family home, turn it into a 4-plex. For me, I could turn my garage into a duplex. So that's 6 units. What does that do for your environmental services? Do you have the septic system, a sewer system that can handle having 300 new houses in you? That's $20 million that you're going to pay. How does the city do that? Do you have enough water? What's your sustainability? The new one, from what I've read, and I haven't interpreted all of it yet, if you have a limit on 3 stories in your city, it allows for another 14 feet above that. A lot of cities, they have it in place for a reason. And especially above Augusta, we have kind of a different flow when it comes to the way our cities are set up. So it'll be interesting how it comes through. I'm really glad that I don't have to deal with deciphering code, but I think home rule has a good spot. And when it starts flowing over, I'm a little concerned.
Can you explain what home rule is for folks that don't know what that is?
Home rule basically means that the city has the ability to make its own rules. Example, Bangor makes rules all the time that affect businesses. Those have nothing to do with the state, and the state doesn't intercede on it. Those are the type of things that are home rule. It's the same thing with some codes. There may be areas of Brewer that we don't want to go over a certain level because of sight lines, whatever it was. We do have the planes that come over. There can be reasons for it. And that's why it's in place that the city makes the rules or the town makes the rules in those cases. And it doesn't come from a total state rule.
It doesn't upsert state law, but it gives cities the opportunity to be more restrictive and binding than state law.
So we know what the mayor priorities are. What are yours, Chief?
Well, public safety, I remember I'm wearing two hats now. I have the fire side, I have the police side. Number one, we want to make sure that we have an internal culture that we're still doing our absolute best to deliver to the community. One of the things I tell all the people that we hire that you need 3 ingredients to be successful on our team. You have to have a teachable spirit, you have to try your best, and you have to be a good person. And if you have those 3 things, then we're going to give you all the other tools that you need to be successful, whether you're on the police or the fire side. On the fire side, knock on wood right now, we are fully staffed. This has been a challenge. So all of our slots are filled, and we're just trying to navigate through as to future staffing needs. I think there needs to be some tweaking. There has to be some tweaking there so that we can give our people more work-life balance. They've had a tough go for several years, and that needs to be a priority. And we're trying to wait and see what happens with ambulance. I know that Northern Light is going through a difficult time. We rely on a partnership with them for our ambulance services. So fingers crossed they're going to be able to come out of it, and we'll continue with our relationship. If not, then we'll have a bigger problem to solve. On the police department side, I can't say enough. It's such a good group. They are down 2 spots right now, and we've been down 2 spots for a while. And we have 2 trainees that are going into the Criminal Justice Academy in about 2 weeks. So they won't be fully trained until December of this year. So technically, we have 4 slots in Patrol Division that are open, and everyone else is picking up the lion's share of the work. They never complain. They always do their best. They try to do right by people, and we're just really blessed to have good people. So one of my immediate goals is to let's try to get these filled. I could fill it right now with untrained people, but what that would mean is that they go into the January Academy. We don't realize the benefit of those 2 positions until May. We're working with an advertising firm right now, and we're trying to put together a recruitment video, and we're focused on officers that are already trained. So if we get the right caliber person who fits into the chemistry of our team, and they got those 3 ingredients where they have a teachable spirit, do their best, and be a good person, then hopefully we'll fill those areas. But everything is very good. I have no complaints because I'm surrounded with and I get to work alongside of very talented and dedicated people on both the police and fire side. I appreciate every one of these folks. They help make my job easy. My job is we set some priorities moving forward, but I also clear the path so that they can do their jobs well. Brewer's in a really good spot. Public safety's in a really good spot. It's been 31 years. And there's not a day I don't look forward to going in there and working alongside of my folks.
Well, if there's somebody listening that may want to apply for one of those positions, is there a minimum age?
You have to be 21 years of age, and that's about it. You know, we can't have a criminal record. Your driving license history needs to be appropriate. Can't be all crazy out there. But please apply, or at the very least come in and talk to one of my officers about the job. And if you're a trained officer out there and you're thinking about Team Brewer, I'll tell you, it'd be a heck of an opportunity for you because I'm sitting here with the mayor of Brewer, and it just shows you the level of cooperation and excitement at all levels of this organization of Team Brewer. There's a lot of cool things going on. There's a lot of positive energy going on. We're looking after each other, and how many police departments can claim that they have that relationship with their other people in the city government?
It's wonderful to see.
It is. We're blessed.
If you're just tuning in, you are listening to Q Point Podcast. I'm Karina Quirk, co-hosting with my husband, David Quirk, and we are having a conversation with Brewer Police Chief Christopher Martin and Brewer Mayor Michelle Daniels.
Mayor Daniels, tell us about the riverwalk in Brewer.
I go almost every day. My figures are about 60% of the people that walk on the Brewer waterfront are not from Brewer. They come to enjoy the peace and the quiet. They come to enjoy the birds, and we have a lot of people from out of state. I met some people from California that were down watching birds the other day. It's gotten to a place where It's a daily routine for people. It's a place to bring your dogs, your kids. You want your kid to learn to ride a bike, they take them there. And it's just a quiet, relaxing spot. It's also great when they have a concert. If you just want to hang out and listen to whatever concert's on, that's where you're going to find people. They're going to bring blankets and hang out and enjoy the night. And hopefully in the future, things are going to be changing with some more things like that in Brewer. We're working towards not necessarily in that area, but some other areas to really give you the ability to do some more walking, some more time in the woods. Long-time plan that's been worked on by the Land Trust in Brewer is a rail trail. That has a chance to come to fruition this next year. We're waiting on the railroad still, but that's almost 2.5 miles one way.
Tell us more about the rail trail.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
That's exciting.
This has been in the works for a while. The Brewer Land Trust, which I was with way before I was on the council, has been trying to get a non-used section of a railroad. There were two that ran through Brewer and one stopped being used. To get that, they're basically working with the state, they're working with the railroad, and because the railroad sold 2.5 years ago, they could not sell any more property out of that railroad because of different federal laws. So we're waiting, I believe it's March of this 2026, where we can then talk to them about selling it. It goes from Wilson Street all the way to the Greenpoint Road. Luckily, it already goes by several places that have parking lots that the city has. So parking is good. Having it there not only benefits people in Brewer, it brings people into Brewer to walk. It also, for me, the big thing with it is that the Brewer cross country team does not have a place to run. You actually see them running on the streets, on the sidewalks. That would be a great place to be able to have cross country practice. We have outdoor education through our high school. Outdoor education could use it. It abuts the school property in places. And it also has the ability to really work with the Brewer High School Forestry Program and be able to have them have a place very nearby to be able to use and learn through that. So it's all benefits, not only for me who loves to walk, but also the kids in our city, as well as if you can bring people in.
I'm sure the businesses will like it, the restaurants and grocery stores.
And that's the goal. And sometimes I say, Brewer is a city of 9,600 people. Our streets average between 30 and 38,000 people a day on them. So when you're coming to Brewer, you're going through Brewer. So let's give you some things to do. Let's walk. Let's find different places to go. In the winter, can you snowshoe on it? Absolutely. Can you cross-country ski? Come in and then you can go to a restaurant. You can go to a shop. You can participate in things in Brewer, but have something to get you there. And it's not necessarily a mortar and brick store. So that's what the goal is. And there's a couple different places that are being worked on right now that have a good possibility to really add to it.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So Chief, what are your thoughts on the Riverwalk?
I'll tell you, the curmudgeon in me, when I first heard about this concept years ago, I said, what the heck is this crap? And then I saw it happen. And they're going to cut a hole underneath the JC Bridge. Give me a break, right? Then I saw the results, and I'm like, wow, this is really amazing. Then they expanded it. And the way it brought people together and the beauty of that on the banks of the Penobscot River and the impact of the businesses like Masons and High Tide, it really, really is fantastic. It's kind of like the crowning jewel of the city of Brewer. There's a lot of pride in there. The people that live in the surrounding neighborhoods are proud of it, and the officers are proud of it. They check it every day. We check it. We have pride in it. If we see graffiti, we see trash, we're making sure it's taken care of, because this is a really source of pride for us and the community. I think we appreciate every bit as much as everybody else does. We have cameras throughout the entire system, the walkway, and those cameras are also wired into TV screens in the police department in 3 different locations, where at any given time, if somebody's in there working, they can look up and see what's happening on the waterfront.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that was a really important thing because you can't be there all the time, right? However, this is a force multiplier. So, for instance, last week, I saw that the reception was staring intently at one of the cameras, and I said, what's going on? And they said, I think these two are up to no good. And they were in the tunnel, and the dog was tied up to the chain link fence, and the people are kind of wandering around. And the next thing you know, the guy's dropping his pants and going to the bathroom. Well, I was in a position that I'm seeing it. I'm going, okay, I think you've used up your good graces in the city of Brewer. So we sent some officers out, and they contacted him, and they got a trespass notice that if you can't behave on our waterfront, you're not going to be here. So that's an example of how those cameras help out. But It's great. The waterfront is great.
The other thing is that the people who walk there take it extremely seriously. There are whole groups of people, like the 4th of July. The day after the 4th of July, everybody was down there picking up trash. The city didn't have to send anybody down. The regular walkers picked up the trash on, like, all the sparklers.
Oh, that is
I'm
a
walking around
community.
picking up stuff, and people are like, hey, I just put a whole bunch in. And you're like, hey, great. And there's a lady that's like 90-something years old that walks her dog. And if you let your dog go without picking it up, she will track you down and make you pick it up. So that's
I
the
love
feeling
Mainers.
of it, is that this is theirs.
It's a real community.
Right.
They're taking ownership.
It's not mine. It's not the city's. It's theirs. It belongs to everybody. And it doesn't matter if you came from Newburgh or wherever. This is your waterfront. And that's the way they take it seriously. So if something happens, I had someone the other day was like, hey, someone damaged the bridge, the little bridge that's in the children's garden. And that's what you're going to get. I'm going to get messages from people saying something happened. And Parks and Rec's on it. The police department's on it. The police department's back checking cameras. They kicked out like 5 rungs. It's not like the end of the world, but it's important. Yeah. It's important that it's safe, and it's important that it's taken care of. So it's awesome.
Good for you.
Yep.
Really, to have that atmosphere. Kudos to the city of Brewer.
Thank you.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for coming
Thank
in.
you.
Hopefully we'll do it again.
I'm sure we will.
All right.
You've been listening to Q Point.
Follow us at qpointpodcast.com or on your favorite streaming app.
This is where you can get the news from the people who make the news.
Make sure to join us next time.
We hope you tune in.
Q Point Podcast invites guests and candidates from all parties to join the conversation. The views, information, opinions, and comments expressed during this program do not necessarily represent those of the host, Q Point Podcast, associates, affiliates, and CQRE LLC.
Thanks for being a part of the conversation. Catch every episode at qpointpodcast.com or wherever you stream. Tune in and tell your friends.